Hey, good morning. Here we are in New Zealand, and this is part 13 of my um, video series on solution focus. Want to take a bit of a change of tack today, and there's a reason for it. I've been approached by a government-funded drug service in China to do a couple of things. One is to have my last book translated into Chinese, which is great, very flattering. I've directed them to the publishers, and they'll do what they do. I don't really know all this works. And the other is that they'd like me to come and run some workshops in China. Again, very flattering, and we'll see. I don't know if I'm going to do it or not. Depends more on time than it does anything else. I have a full-time job, and to go and do this work in China would mean, taking leave, and I'm not sure I want to do that. However, it struck me when they was asking and the conversations we've had on email, um, how far solution focus is spreading in China, and they talk about brief a lot, and they talk about how they're developing it for their particular audience, and the cultural differences around that. And I'm fascinated by that, and I'm going to talk more about that with them and try and understand that construct and that context a little bit better. But it brings me on to kind of where solution focus going. I started this video series asking us to all take a good hard look at the state of solution focus now, the state of the nation of SF now, where we're at, what we need to maybe change, what we need to reflect on, all from obviously from my opinion, and thankfully I've had lots of feedback that's kind of endorsed that, which is great. Um, but I kind of want to think about the future a little bit, and I actually think the future is pretty rosy and it's pretty bright. And some of the future won't involve me. It won't involve the traditional solution focus holders, placeholders, if you like. Um, People like me, white, middle aged, academics. I hate being called an academic, but I have to accept that. You know, I've done some research. I've been in university. I've got degrees. I've got masters, written books. Therefore, some people view me as an academic, even if I don't view myself as one. So where are we going? Look, I make no bones. A good friend of mine and a great voice in the solution focus world, Elliot Connie. He's doing his own thing. He had to do his own thing often in response to the fact that he felt uninvited in some parts of the solution focus world. He's run his own conference. He uses social media fantastically well, and has thousands of followers. This is great. This is great. He tells me that he gets emails on a daily basis from African Americans and minority groups around the world saying, it's great that he's the face of solution focus, and it's brought them into the solution focus world and made them interested. Brilliant. Can't fault him for that. There's also a burgeoning, emerging solution focused collective and manifesto in the UK, and I see that with um, great empathy, I suppose, in that it says a lot of the things I believe, and I think it's a good place to place solution focus in our world, which is an unfair and unjust world. I see young women promoting solution focus, doing their own thing, and this is great. These are really important advances in the solution focus world for me. This is the new wave, the new um, uh, branch of solution focus that's coming through, and there's some really interesting things that I think we need to take note of here. These are not always people that are writing books, and if they're not writing books, they're also not referencing some of the old school SF people. These are people that are presenting at conferences, but not necessarily members of associations. And I've made my points very clear before around how I think associations and groupings of the established status quo are not necessarily going to move a solution focus forward. And that, let me just say something about that, because I've had some quite um, strong views around that presented back to me, that I'm against associations, and I've mentioned before I'm not necessarily against them. I just don't see them as that relevant anymore. I see them as gatekeepers in many ways, and that's fine if that's what you want to do. But I don't believe that solution focus will be held by associations or by groupings of people that are in a pseudo hierarchical group of people. Um, Solution focus is in the world. It's out there. The language is out there. But so are the misgivings, so are the misconceptions. I was talking to a clinical lead just on Monday. We're on Friday now. I was talking to a clinical lead on Monday who said, "Yeah, I'm not really going to use too much solution focus in this work that I'm doing." She's promoting an online therapy tool. Um, it's a little bit too positive and strength based, and we have to realise that the world isn't always positive. This cult of positivity is becoming too much. And I was kind of intrigued, and talked to her and said, "How did you come across the idea that solution focus is only positive and strength based, and that's the essence of it?" She said, "Well, it is, isn't it?" And I was quite surprised, and we had a really good long discussion about some of those things. This brings me back to the future of solution focus. So when we're talking about the people who are promoting solution focus now, which is not the old guard. You know, the old guard are still there, and I'm not disputing their knowledge, their skills, their passion, their groundbreaking, and I still look to many of them for learnings myself. But I think the new guard of solution focus have some responsibilities. Their responsibilities when they go forward in this work are to be clear around what solution focus is, to be inclusive around people that can access it, both as recipients of solution focus and people that may be doing solution focus, practicing it in all sorts of ways. Solution focus is big in the coaching world. It's in teaching. It's in suicide prevention. It's in therapy, and so on. And I think we have a responsibility to help those people, should they ask us to, the new wave, should they ask us, and they don't have to, they have no reason to. And I think very interesting when I was talking to a young solution focused practitioner recently online who said, yeah, I hear that, but we're going to do things differently. I thought, good on you, do things differently. But we have a responsibility there to support people in promoting their solution focus ways of being, and their passion around that. So I'll just kind of summarize really, because I've rambled a little bit, and I did put down some keywords, and the keywords I put down were solution focus manifesto, India, China, Elliot, associations, books, and those are my keywords, and I've kind of gone off a little bit. I think social media is becoming more and more important, and books are becoming less and less important for people, especially younger people. That doesn't mean that books are not necessary, and I'm not slagging books, and I'll probably write another one or two myself in time. But I think people access different platforms for knowledge now, and I quite no, not quite. I do like social media. I think social media and being able to talk freely is a great thing. You can look back and go, "Oh my gosh, did I say that?" Or you can look back and say, "Wow, that was quite good. I said that." It doesn't matter. But I certainly think now, in the last book that I wrote, I look back and think, "Gosh, there's some things I changed, but I can't change them. It's out there." And that's life. So social media is incredibly important. I think the emerging solution focused practitioners from India, from China, are going to be incredibly important. And should they get a gateway into some mainstream, that's going to be interesting to see, in a very positive way. I think that collectives are much more likely to develop than associations. I certainly don't believe associations. When I look around at the associations, most of the well-known solution-focused associations number in a couple of hundred or less. And if you think about the spread of solution focus, you can hardly say they're representative of the solution focused world. Um, if you think about the books that are being published, round about the mid 90s, there was a plethora of solution focused books. I see that slowing down now, and I don't have a problem with that personally. I think the books that were out then are good places to go back and look at. I think the new, younger wave of solution focused practitioners are going to be increasingly relevant and look to solution focused practice in much more creative ways than I've ever done. More art, more music, more playful stuff. And I think that's a good thing too. Um, I'm going to leave it there. I'd be interested to hear other people's thoughts. I'm still getting emails privately. Please leave some thoughts on the YouTube comments underneath, so other people can answer. So it's not just my lone voice. Um, Obviously, I like doing this, but I'd like to hear what other people think too. Um, Thanks very much for listening, and give me some ideas of my next video. I've got some ideas, but I'd be really interested to put forward ideas that other people have asked me for. Thank you and goodbye. Have a great day.